Michael Komape wayeneminyaka esithandathu. Kulo minyaka ngumntana oqalayo ufunda esikolweni. Umama wakhe ngoku wathi esiya uyokhangela umntwana wakhe ebona abanye abantwana bebuya esikolweni. Waye esikolweni wabuza into yokubana uphi na umntwana wakhe. But abo bambonayo bathi bamgqibele eye kudla ngasese. Otishala ke abathi mhlambi bayibona loo nto yenzekelayo baye bamnqanda umzali kaMichael into yokubana makangayi pha. Kodwa ke njengomzali waye wanyanzelisa wayobona uvele isandla kuphela. Utshonile uswelekile.
Michael drowned in the toilet on Monday afternoon after going to relieve himself during break time. Michael's mother was escorted from the gravesite as she was unable to contain her grief.
Equal education sonike igama okanye sothi igama nokubana iMichael Komape School Infrastructure Campaign. Siyalisebenzisa ke eligama likaMichael Komape ne-struggle for quality education, quality infrastructure in South Africa.
Equal Education is a movement of students, parents and community members. It's campaigning for equal and quality education. It's a membership-based organization, and those members, those high school students and parents who join Equal Education, they have a say in the campaigns of the organization, and they also have a say in electing the leadership of the organization.
We as Equal Education, we want to try to close the gap between the modern schools and the public schools, making sure that all the public schools have proper sanitation, all the public schools have water, access to electricity, access to transport, all these things that you need in order for you to receive better education.
Wonke umuntu akwazi uba makabe ne-future e-bright nefanayo neyabanye abantu, because yonke laa nto iqala kwi-foundation. Indlu ene-foundation erongo ayisoze ibe right. I-foundation yethu thina singabantu sisikolo esisifumanayo, and then izonyuka ke ngoku, and then saba grand, saba right singabantu sonke.
Ngaphandle kuba zawuthi imfundo ibalekile for abantu bahlala apha e-Eastern Cape okanye apha e-Eastern Cape ngokupheleleyo. Imfundo ibalekile la kwi-South Africa yonke.
With education, you stand better chances of accessing whatever that is around you.
Education is the only key that can get you where you want to be in life.
Ndiyakuthanda ukuza esikolweni. Xa kunetha ndithanda ukufundiswa kuba izinki liyangcola. Kuba nzima ukuba thina size apha esikolweni.
The state of school infrastructure in South Africa, and particularly in the Eastern Cape, is really nothing short of a crisis. There's hundreds of schools that still have no water, no electricity, no sanitation, are built from entirely inappropriate structures.
In a so-called dignified society, we'll have to remember that they went through a schooling system which was meant to develop them, make them model citizens, and that schooling system actually stripped them of that dignity. Poverty doesn't start the day you don't get a job. Poverty starts the day you enroll at a dysfunctional school.
So when you go to a school like Sibane in Dutchwa, and you see that learners are carrying 19-kilogram gas canisters to school because there's no electricity, and no water, and really essentially nothing at their school. That's a crisis. That requires urgent intervention.
Esi sikolo senziwe ngamazinki ke athengwe ngabantu belali. Asikabi na festile njengoba ke imane iphele ebantwini. Njengoba kusenzeka apha kungekho sakhiwo, kunzima ufundisa abantwana.
Our toilets, they are not safe. Some other times we found snakes in our toilets. We can get so many diseases from those toilets of ours.
It's important to have clean toilets at our schools, because if the toilets are always dirty, then our learners can catch diseases so easily. Then that's not healthy.
Loo nto ibangela ukubana iziphumo zethu ziye zisehla ngokwehla, ngoba kwiminyaka edlulileyo phaa phambili safumana u-92%, we managed ukuba sifike ku-92%, sehla sawutsho ku-16%, but now ngenxa yodeteriorate isikolo sideteriorate, ne-results they are going down.
Currently, I can never say we are a normal school. We are not. When you look at the structure of my school, you don't find a brick. When you go through it, you would see something like a wire frame, of which on it there's mud.
Isikolo sona kule ndawo simi kuyo mna ndingathi asikho kwindawo simima sikuyo ngenxa ye-environment. Ndingabalula nje isanti nje yodwa. Isanti asiyondawo yokuhlala kwabantu. Baba nemnini bakhohlele ngenxa ye-dust. Bahlala emakhaya mhlawumbe umuntu kangange 2 weeks engaze esikolweni. Uyaqhubeka kwabe esikolweni uyafunda. Usemva la mntana.
On a very hot day, we sometimes run out of water here. And when it's like that, we have to release the kids early.
Xa kutshisa abantwana bayafeyinta. Ngoku njengoba kuculwa ngapha ukhona bebanjwe esiwa ngomisi because ilanga liyatshisa. So ndithetha ukuthi ke kubakho obubunzima. Uba kukho umoya kunzima uthetha nabantwana because umoya uyangxola. Maniqala apha kwisakhiwo. Uba ngakho isakhiwo esakheke kahle singasebenza kakuhle apha.
The learner that is in a mud school sees himself or herself as somebody who is inferior to the one who is in a brick school. As I am the product of the apartheid education, when I look at our school, I feel like crying at times. The past is still having some marks in our education.
We have an unequal society and an unequal education system reproducing the unequalness in society.
The schools which were reserved for black children under apartheid are still only attended by black children. And the schools which were reserved for white children under apartheid, those are now attended by white children and black middle class children.
Mna ndinqwenela izinto zitshintshe ezikoleni zalapha eMzantsi Afrika. Kutshintshe infrastructure, basifane, kutshintshe levels of imfundo.
Ingenzeka into yobana sikwazi ulizisa utshintsho ku-education yethu. Uba ugovernment uyayibona uba yingxaki kakhulu le nto, ayiprioritize, sizawukwazi uzitshintsha izikolo zethu, sikwazi uba sibe ne-future ezingcono kunohlobo ezibukeka ngalo ngoku.
I'm working with Equal Education, a group that is working with learners, parents and the community, trying to make a change in as far as improving the infrastructure in our schools.
We campaigned for 3 years for the adoption of this law that specifies what infrastructure every school needs. By the 29th of November 2016, there is a legal obligation on the state to have made sure that there's no longer any school in the country that has no water, no electricity, or no sanitation, and there's no longer any school in the country that's made from inappropriate structures.
I think it is important to know the law, because if you don't know the law, it means you don't know your rights. But if you're clear about the law and you know what is clearly stated in that law, you are also in a position to claim what is rightfully yours.
Ndicinga kubalulekile uba sonke sizi-structures zesikolo, abantwana, ootishala nabazali, uba bamazise urhulumente uba bayafuna isikolo sabo sakheke.
And Tommy, uba ufuna unceda ezinto zisende zenzeke, okokuqala kukho organization ezininzi abase-South Africa, and one of them nge-Equal Education.
There's a real potential for us to ensure that our schools are rebuilt, that we get water, that we get electricity, that we get sanitation, and that we should use that by coming together and by making our voices heard and making our demands heard, we can actually get the schools that we deserve.
It's very important to document so that the government can feel what we feel as learners, feel what we feel as communities, as committee members. Evidence is power, because when we document everything, we have pictures, we have the interviews, testimonials from learners. So it puts much pressure to the government, just because it shows that we didn't assume that this is happening in this community. The Tembisa sanitation audit was a success, because the MEC promised to fix 580 schools around Gauteng. We mobilized the community, made everyone aware, secured 150 million for sanitation upgrade. We didn't have to wait for 2020 for the sanitation upgrade, so I think it was a success. It's about 500,000 students that the sanitation upgrade is going to benefit them.
We must now start translating the law into action. It's in your hands.
If we leave it to the government, then we will never see any change. But if we are together, fighting together, raising our voices together, then we will see the results.
We are living in the same planet, we are living in the same country, and we are being led by one president. We should have the same infrastructure in all our schools. It is our right to live in a better condition in our schools. It is our right to have better classes. It is our right to have better toilets. It is our right to get a better education. It is our right to go to the government and say our feelings about how we feel about our environment.
In 2030, we should be looking back and say we have adequate schools in the country, adequate classrooms that are not overcrowded, structures that are well maintained, a schooling system that is functioning, that is meeting the needs of the country and the global economy.